Chapter 3. When I was 17 years old, my parents decided that I should go to university in Ingolstadt. Until then, I had studied at schools in Geneva. But my father thought it was important for me to learn about other ways of life, not just those of my own country. So, we planned that I would leave soon. But before I could go, something terrible happened. It was the first great sadness of my life, and it seemed like a sign of more bad things to come. Elizabeth became very sick with scarlet fever. She was in great danger. We asked my mother not to take care of her because we didn't want her to get sick too. At first, she listened to us. But when she learned that Elizabeth might die, she couldn't stay away. She went to care for her day and night. Thanks to her help, Elizabeth got better. But my mother caught the illness. 3 days later, she also became sick, and her condition was much worse. The doctors looked very worried. They knew she might die. Even as she lay dying, my mother was calm and kind. She took Elizabeth's hand in mine and said, "My dear children, I hoped you would marry one day. That thought will now bring comfort to your father. Elizabeth, please take care of my younger children. I am sad to leave you. I have been happy and loved. Isn't it hard to say goodbye? But I must not think like this. I will try to face death calmly. I hope we will meet again in another world." She died peacefully. Even in death, her face looked full of love. I cannot fully describe how we felt. When someone you love dies, the pain is terrible. It takes a long time to believe they are really gone. You can't believe you will never see their face or hear their voice again. At first, you are in shock. But after some time, the full sadness comes. Everyone goes through this pain. And in time, people smile again, even if it feels wrong. My mother was gone, but we still had responsibilities. We had to keep going. We were lucky to still have each other. Because of all this, my trip to Ingolstadt was delayed. I asked my father to let me stay home a few more weeks. It felt wrong to leave so soon after my mother's death. I had never felt such sorrow before. I didn't want to leave my family. Most of all, I wanted to help Elizabeth feel better. She tried to hide her sadness and comfort us instead. She faced life bravely and did her best to take care of our family. She gave us her smiles and kindness. She even forgot her own pain to help us feel better. Finally, the day came for me to leave. My friend Clerval spent the evening with us. He wanted to come with me and study too, but his father said no. Clerval's father was a businessman and didn't believe in higher education. Clerval was very sad. He didn't say much, but I could see in his eyes that he still dreamed of a better life. We stayed up late. It was hard to say goodbye. We all pretended to go to sleep, but no one really rested. In the morning, as I came down to the carriage, everyone was there. My father gave me a blessing, Clerval shook my hand, and Elizabeth asked me to write to her often. She helped me prepare for my trip. I sat in the carriage, full of sad thoughts. I had always been with loving friends and family. Now I was alone. At the university, I would have to make new friends and take care of myself. I had always lived a quiet, home life, so meeting new people made me nervous. I loved my brothers, Elizabeth and Clerval. I felt lost without them. But as the journey went on, I started to feel more hopeful. I was excited to learn new things. At home, I had often wished I could travel and meet new people. Now my wish was coming true. The trip to Ingolstadt was long and tiring. When I finally arrived, I saw the tall white church tower in the town. I got out of the carriage and went to my room to rest. The next day, I gave the letters my father had written for me to some professors. One of the first I met was Mr. Kremp, who taught natural philosophy, what we now call science. He looked strange, but knew a lot. He asked me what I had studied. I told him I had read books by old scientists and alchemists. He looked surprised and said, "You wasted your time on those old books?" That's nonsense. He told me I needed to start over and read modern science books. He gave me a list and said he would begin lectures soon. His colleague, Mr. Waldman, would teach chemistry on the other days. I didn't feel disappointed because I already knew those old books weren't very useful. But I didn't feel excited either. Mr. Kremp was a short, rude man with an unpleasant face. He didn't make me want to study. As a child, I wasn't happy with modern science. I had dreamed of learning secrets of life and power, things the old alchemists promised. Modern scientists didn't believe in such things. They only studied facts and small details. I missed the excitement and dreams of the past. During my first days in Ingolstadt, I explored the town and met some people. When the new week began, I remembered Mr. Kremp's words. I didn't want to hear him speak again, but I became curious about Mr. Waldman, whom I hadn't met yet. So I went to his lecture. Mr. Waldman was very different. He was about 50, with kind eyes and a sweet voice. He looked friendly and wise. He spoke about the history of chemistry and how it had improved over time. He talked with passion and explained everything clearly. He ended the lecture by praising modern chemistry. He said, "The old teachers made big promises but gave nothing. Modern scientists make fewer promises, but they do great things. They explore the secrets of nature. They discover how blood flows and what air is made of. They can control electricity and learn the hidden rules of the world." His words touched me deeply. I felt as if something inside me had awakened. I wanted to know more. I thought, if others have done so much, I will do even more. I will find new powers and reveal the mysteries of life. That night, I couldn't sleep. My thoughts were wild and full of energy. I finally slept after sunrise. When I woke up, I still felt sure that I had to study science again. I believed I had a natural gift for it. Later that day, I visited Mr. Waldman. He was even more kind and welcoming in private than in the classroom. I told him about the books I had read, like those by Agrippa and Paracelsus. He smiled, but did not mock me like Mr. Kremp had. He said, "Those men were wrong about many things, but they worked hard and helped others learn. Thanks to them, we have a base for modern science. Even when people study the wrong ideas, they often help the world in the end." I told him that his lecture had changed my mind. I no longer disliked modern science. I spoke carefully and respectfully. I asked him which books I should read. He replied, "I'm happy to have you as a student. If you work hard, I believe you will succeed." Chemistry is the most exciting science right now, but a good scientist must also learn about other areas, like mathematics. You need to understand many things to make real discoveries. Then he showed me his laboratory and explained how his machines worked. He told me what I should buy and said I could use his equipment when I was ready. He also gave me a list of books. That day changed my life. It was the beginning of my new path. Chapter 4. From that day on, I spent almost all my time studying natural science, especially chemistry. I read books full of clever ideas and useful knowledge. I went to lectures and made friends with scientists at the university. Even M. Kremp, who looked and acted in an unpleasant way, gave me important information. M. Waldman became a real friend. He was always kind and never acted like he knew everything. He explained things clearly and helped me understand even the most difficult ideas. At first, I didn't study regularly, but soon I became very focused. I spent many nights in my laboratory, working until the sun came up. Because I studied so hard, I learned very quickly. The other students were surprised by how much I loved science, and even the professors noticed how well I was doing. Professor Kremp joked about Cornelius Agrippa, a scientist I had liked before, but M. Waldman was very happy with my progress. 2 years passed. During that time, I did not go home to Geneva. I was completely focused on making new discoveries. Only someone who loves science deeply can understand how exciting it is. In other subjects, you only learn what others already know. But in science, you can discover something new. If you study one subject carefully, you can become an expert. That's what happened to me. I worked so hard that I even improved some scientific tools. And people at the university respected me for it. After learning everything the professors at Ingolstadt could teach me, I planned to go home. But something happened that made me stay longer. I had always been interested in the human body and living creatures. I kept asking myself, where does life come from? This is a hard question, and many people think it's a mystery. But I believed we could learn the answer if we were brave enough to look for it. I decided to study the parts of science that explain how the body works, called physiology. This study was very hard and not pleasant. To learn about life, I had to study death first. I learned anatomy, the structure of the body, but that wasn't enough. I had to watch how the body breaks down after death. My father had always made sure I didn't believe in ghosts or scary stories. so I was not afraid of darkness or graveyards. To me, a graveyard was just a place where dead bodies were kept. But now, I had to examine how the body decays. I spent days and nights in tombs and rooms for dead bodies. I saw how strong and beautiful bodies became food for worms. I watched everything carefully, learning how death changes the body. Then, suddenly, I had a bright idea. It felt like light coming into darkness. The idea was so amazing and simple at the same time. I couldn't believe that no other smart person had discovered it before me. Please believe me, I am not crazy. What I discovered is real. After many days and nights of hard work, I found out how life begins. Even more than that, I learned how to give life to something that was not alive. At first, I was shocked. Then I felt happy and excited. After working so hard, it felt amazing to finally succeed. This discovery was so great that I forgot the steps that led me to it. What many wise men had searched for since the beginning of time was now in my hands. But it wasn't like magic. I didn't suddenly have everything. I only had the knowledge that could help me reach my goal. It was like being in a dark tomb, holding a small light, and finally finding a way out. I see by the look in your eyes, my friend, that you want to know my secret. But I can't tell you. Please listen to the rest of my story and you'll understand why. I don't want you to suffer like I did. Learn from me. Knowledge can be dangerous. A person is happier who thinks their small town is the whole world than someone who wants to become greater than human nature allows. When I realized I had this great power, I didn't know what to do at first. I could give life, but I didn't yet have a body ready to receive it. Building a human body is very hard. At first, I thought of creating a simple being, but I was too excited. I believed I could make something as amazing and complex as a real person. I didn't have everything I needed yet, but I felt sure I would succeed one day. I expected many failures, but I hoped that my work would lead to success in the future. I didn't think my goal was impossible, even if it was very big and difficult. So, I began creating a human being. But the body parts were so small and detailed that it slowed me down. I decided to make the creature very large, about 8 feet tall, so it would be easier to work on. After planning and collecting materials for months, I started the work. I felt many different emotions. At first, I was full of energy and hope. I thought I could break the line between life and death. I believed that my new creation would thank me and call me its father. I imagined a whole new race of beings who would be happy and good because of me. I even thought I might one day bring people back to life. These thoughts kept me going. I worked day and night. I became thin and pale. Sometimes, I failed just when I was close to success. But I didn't stop. I had one secret that gave me hope, and every night, the moon watched me working while I searched for nature's deepest secrets. But no one can understand how terrible my work really was. I went into graves, and I hurt living animals to learn how to give life to dead ones. Now, just thinking about it makes me shake. But at the time, I couldn't stop. I only cared about my goal. I collected bones from graveyards and touched the deepest mysteries of the human body with dirty hands. I worked in a small room at the top of the house, away from everyone else. My eyes hurt from looking so closely at everything I did. I got many of my materials from dead bodies in butcher shops. Sometimes I felt sick about what I was doing, but I kept going, more and more obsessed. While I worked, summer passed. It was a beautiful season, but I didn't notice. The world outside was full of life, but I ignored it. I also forgot about my family and friends. I knew they were worried because I didn't write to them. I remembered what my father had once said: "If you're happy, you will think of us and write to us. But if you don't write, it means you are ignoring all your responsibilities." I knew he was right to worry, but I couldn't stop. My work had taken control of my mind. I thought I would wait to talk to my family until my project was finished. At the time, I believed my father would be wrong to blame me. But now, I understand he was right. A good person should always try to stay calm and peaceful. No passion, even for knowledge, should destroy your love for simple things or the people you care about. If everyone followed this rule, many bad things in history would not have happened. But I see that I'm talking too much about morals, and you want me to continue my story. My father didn't blame me in his letters. He only asked more questions about what I was doing. Winter, spring, and summer passed. I didn't notice the flowers or leaves. I used to love these things, but now I only cared about my work. The leaves had started to fall again when my project was almost done. Every day, I saw how close I was to success. But now, I started to feel nervous. I looked like a man working in a dark mine, not like someone enjoying a favorite hobby. I became sick with worry and weak from stress. I was scared by small sounds, like a falling leaf. I stayed away from people as if I had done something wrong. Sometimes I looked at myself and felt afraid of what I had become. Only my strong goal kept me going. I hoped that after I finished, I could rest, enjoy life again, and become healthy once more.